Good morning, Lynn.
Good morning. How are you?
Good, thank you. Good. Looking forward for autumn.
Yes, it's right around the corner, isn't it?
It is. It's my favorite season, to be honest with you.
I'm more of a spring person myself, but autumn would be my other one that I like.
Yeah, I love the smell. I love the colors. I love everything about fall. Yeah. I saw in your story that you went from touring Canada in a band to running a strategy agency. That's quite a pivot.
It sounds like it on paper, but really when you break it down, the music industry, the marketing and everything that happens, it's not that far-fetched. So, I started in a Jimi Hendrix cover band playing
Hmm.
bass
Wow.
and, met my husband in the band, and I said, "We should really, like, start a band writing our own stuff," and he's like, "No way, never." So, a year of badgering, and I got him to do it, and then we just started touring Canada and the United States. We won some awards, featured on some TV shows, like things went really, really great. And that was until he had to go in the hospital, had to have his gallbladder removed, and we realized, oh
Mhm.
my gosh, when he's off the road, I'm off the road, and neither one of us are making money, and we have to really rethink what we're doing, even though it's our passion and we love it, it's not sustainable. So he started doing more session work with other artists. And I was like, okay, what do I know? I know how to play bass. I went to university. I have a Bachelor of Commerce, but what do I know? And I wasn't really thinking of that hands-on experience that I had with the band, with the years of what we did, building up marketing, connecting with people, communications, pitching, organizing, budgeting, all these things that were just like, well, that's just band stuff. But it was like on the ground training. And as I started developing what I was doing and reaching out to other artists in the community, I realized, oh, they need this same help too. So started kind of diving more in that arts community and building up the company that would soon be Cyber PR Army.
And do you think those long nights on stage taught you something about burnout that athletes also face on the field?
Oh my gosh. There's there's a level in the arts industry of pushing yourself and squeezing out every ounce of human left in you that the public doesn't see. And that is waking up at the crack of dawn, driving for 6 hours to the venue, loading in, then going back to the hotel, hoping to have a shower, then
Hmm.
doing your interviews, then going back, and then being on stage and channeling that you are having the best night of your life for all the people that bought tickets, finishing the show, tearing everything back down, loading
Hmm.
it all back into the vehicle, going to the hotel, a few hours of sleep, and then repeat. And you you get in that system where you don't even know you're burning out. It's just that's just life.
Yeah.
That's how you exist until you stop, much like when my husband got his gallbladder out and we went, "Oh gosh," or like when COVID hit for a lot of artists and they stopped and they went, "Oh, this is real life?" Like these are the things that happen when you're not working 24 hours a day. So long answer to your question, yes, the long hours on stage and the long days taught me so much about burnout, but I didn't know at the time. I
Hmm.
didn't know I was burning out. I
Hmm.
didn't see it until I stopped. And then it was, oh, we need to change.
Yeah. Sounds familiar. Something similar that I was used to hosting 100 major events a year,
Oh
which
gosh.
is three events, one event every 3 days. Sorry.
Ooh.
I can't wait to explore that, Lynn. Let's dive in. The following is a conversation with Lynn Colepaugh, a strategist, storyteller, and human AI collaborator who helps leaders protect performance by protecting the person. This is the Pre-Zero Sports Talk podcast, and I'm your host, Sid Bansala. Today, we explore what it means to prepare athletes and entrepreneurs for real life beyond the spotlight, uncovering stories of leadership, community, performance, and innovation. To support our show, please check the episode description. Lynn, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me.
To start, can you share a story from your own journey? Maybe the moment when you had to pivot from being defined as an artist to redefining yourself as something more.
Oh gosh, that is a definite multi-levered question. So defining myself as an artist was, I don't even know if defining is enough. It was my
Mhm,
DNA.
mhm,
That was who I was. When I walked around, I was the bass player. And that was I can't even express it enough of how much that was me until it wasn't. And there were two pivots with that. And the first was we had been touring so much and just pushing ourselves. And then my husband got sick and had to go in the hospital. And the doctor said, "You cannot pick up a guitar for 3 months."
mm,
And we're like, okay, we need to rethink what we're doing. And if we rethink what we're doing, then we're rethinking who we are and what we do in this industry. And my husband continued on his trajectory of being the amazing guitar player that he is. And I was like, oh gosh, I don't know if that life is for me. And I started looking into the community of the other arts and artists and what they were struggling with, making websites, communicating with their fans, applying for grants, a lot of administrative communications and marketing. And I thought, well, maybe I could just kind of help them out while I'm figuring myself out.
mhm.
And I leaned into it. And I started also volunteering on arts boards and working in the community and absolutely loved it. And I started being less of the bass player and more of the marketing person. And as I was digesting that, I became a mom. And then it's like, now here's a whole completely other identity.
Mhm.
And it's it's really interesting because people that knew me as a bass player, a musician, they still know me as that, and so will stop me and talk to me that way. But there are people now who don't even know that I played in a band and don't know that I was a musician. Well, I still kind of am, but they just don't know this part of me, this whole life that I lived, this whole existence that I couldn't imagine not being doesn't even exist. It doesn't exist to my daughter. It doesn't exist to my clients. So it, identity is it's amazing how it morphs as you move through life and you just kind of lean into it. I think the best thing I could have done was not hold on to that identity when it just wasn't serving me. And that's where kind of I am right now with what I'm doing with my company and marketing and trying to talk to people about burnout and decision fatigue and AI and just talk to people in general and how they're doing and how they're making these decisions.
Right. What parallels do you see between artists, athletes, and entrepreneurs when it comes to identity?
Oh gosh, a lot of it. I The more I think about it, and this is because of my nephew. So my
Mhm,
nephew is an amazing hockey player. Like he's a really good hockey player. And uh I would see just kind of snips from my sister-in-law about, okay, well, he's on the bus early in the morning. He's in the rink at 5 a.m. It's another late night. They're getting home late from a tournament.
Is he in a pro league?
No,
No.
no, he's still in
St-
high school.
okay. Okay.
He's still in
College.
high school. Yep. So when I started seeing all this stuff, I was like, these athletes who are committed and who believe in what they're doing and have like refine their body to perform these amazing feats. It's no different than in the arts industry. If you're a dancer or a singer
Mm,
who can sing, or a guitar player or a sculptor or a painter, and these unbelievably near impossible schedules that they put artists on for big tours, or athletes on for what their journey for like just doing tournaments and stuff. And I started seeing, wow, we're not so different, and hitting those levels of like how long can you exist on 5 hours sleep, and how far can you push your body, and how far can you push your mind. And then what happens, much like I just kind of mentioned, when that pivot happens and you need to change, you need to move from being a bass player or a hockey player to something else in your life, when your whole identity was built on this amazing thing that you did. So the more I started leaning into it and seeing it, I was like, wow, these are in parallel. And you had mentioned entrepreneurs as well. If you're
mhm.
known as somebody, if you're known as the lady who makes the lip balms, and that's who you are, and you go out to the markets and you go do that, if you stop, then who are you? And I think that kind of pushes a lot of artists, athletes, and entrepreneurs past the point where they should be doing self-reflection, because they can't let go of who they are and that piece of them.
Yeah. And talking about your nephew, how can we prepare student athletes for the moment when the sports ends?
I think part of that is support internally with the family.
Hmm.
I think it's making sure they're well-rounded, and I'm not talking about, making sure they have a 4.0 grade point average. I mean well-rounded, like if they also on their side like training dogs, let them train dogs, let them do whatever other things that will enrich their lives in ways that are non-sports or non-arts, because when that stops, they need to have something to kind of relax into that's still them, that they still love to do. And I think that is a part that is overlooked, because whether you're an artist or an athlete, it's like focus, focus, don't let anything distract you. And it's like the distractions could actually save you or make you stronger. So that's my personal opinion on that.
It's funny you were talking about the lifestyle artists like yourself versus athletes. We know and we plan for a recovery time for our athletes when they have to get up, when they have to go to sleep, when they have to go for a massage, for example, or do something else rather than being on court or briefing or debriefing. But you guys, the artists, I think, and correct me if I'm wrong, Lynn, I don't see when do you recover. You know, if you have to prepare the whole day and go every night for the performance for the show, and then probably in between commute, travel, drive, and stuff like that, when do you recover?
There is no recovery time built in. There just isn't. My husband was on a tour, a major artist tour, and you think about, and I'll get back to answer that. You think
Mm,
about the artist, but there's also the supporting crew. So the supporting crew will arrive a couple hours early and set everything up, and they stay a
mhm.
couple hours later and tear everything down. And they're often just sleeping on the bus because they finish
Yeah.
late and they need to get to the next venue. The and it's so time sensitive. I mean, I imagine in the athletic world, things are time sensitive too. Athletes get at their peak kind of time,
Mhm.
but an artist, let's say a music artist, is based on their single or their album or their video. or an actor is based on the movie that's going to come out, or a dancer's based on a ballet they're going to do. So you go and you push yourself because this is the pinnacle thing that's going to happen. And within just the arts and music community, and it's come up a lot in Canada about mental health for artists
Hmm.
because they are pushing so much and there is no support, and everyone is wants their piece, wants wants to be part of it, wants to take the money, the fame, the just being around them,
Yeah.
and there's nothing left, and they're just kind of pushed into a corner. So no, there's no recovery system set.
Mm, Thanks for sharing. You often say burnout isn't a personal failure. What do you mean by that?
I believe burnout is a failure of the system.
Hmm.
So it's not a sign that you're broken, although we all feel that. If we burn out, we're like, oh,
Right.
why couldn't I handle it? What's
Right.
wrong with
Yeah.
me? But it's the system. So even just back to what we talked about before, you were talking about the system where athletes are asked to push themselves and do things, amazing things with their body, but it's in the system to give them the opportunity to heal,
Hmm.
to kind of de-stress, and to kind of recenter. The arts industry, there's none of that. I'll say there's less, but there's none of that. So the system's broken. If those elements existed within the music and arts industry, then that burnout level wouldn't get there. We're all still going to burn out because we all push ourselves past our system's ability. But if there's even no system, then we don't even have a chance. So yes, that's my feeling is if you're burning out, it's the system you have that's not working
Mm.
for you.
But then, talking about your industry or past industry, I'm not sure if you still play, but because I know as a musician or a guitarist, when you're a guitarist, you're a guitarist. It doesn't matter, you know. But listening to you, and I'm trying to digest all the informations, but there is this myth or misconception from a non-artist. When we see all the majority of artists, quite often the celebrities, we see them dealing with issues, drug, mental issues and stuff like that. And we say, yeah, but they are famous. They have a lot of means, financial, I mean, and things like that. But then when you look at the lifestyle between preparing an album, and God knows the energy, the sacrifice that goes to prepare that album before, during, and after. Plus, you have to show up for every whatever marketing or promotional stuff you have to do. Plus, you have to go for party after party. And I go back again to the discipline, to the recovery, to looking after yourself as as a whole, mentally, physically. You know, yes, fame is important, or yeah, maybe not for everyone. You know, but what's your advice, Lynn?
Oh gosh, that was a a big kind of question.
Mm.
So
Because,
in the it,
sorry to cut you, just
no
for the
worries.
listeners, quite often we see from outside, we say, oh yeah, they made it, they are famous, they are touring, let's say in Canada or here in Sweden or globally, therefore they become a reference. But no one's know what's the stuff the artists go through mentally and physically. And since we're talking about burnout, maybe you can shed a light on that aspect.
Well, I'll talk just a little bit about the drugs and leisure activity.
Hmm.
The higher up, and I mean, I can't imagine what athletes go through, but within the arts and music industry, there's two pieces. One, it's everywhere, and people just want to party with you. So you can walk into a room and really whatever you want will be available. That's a very dangerous place to be. The second part is because the industry's run on party. So you go to a music festival, there's alcohol there.
Yes.
There's
Yeah, it's
everything there,
given.
right? Yeah, so it's like now you're working in an industry driven by alcohol
Hmm.
and
And other substance.
yes, and other substances.
Mm.
And also, I'm not just talking driven by like the fans, the industry deciders, the radio guys, the TV guys,
Mhm.
the everyone is also out there partying too. So it becomes a, oh, hey, come party with us. And you're like, well, there's the VP of something and there's the president of something else, and they want to go for a bottle of wine. Well, all right, sure, let's go for a bottle of wine because deals are made that way. And that's how the industry runs.
Mm.
And when you were talking about the behind the scenes of what the artists go through, I mean, I know of an artist that was on tour and got to the point where could barely talk. So they were just taking cortisone injections into their throat. I don't even know
Wow.
how it works, but it's like because the show must go on. If they don't perform, much like my husband when he had his gallbladder out,
Mhm.
but this was at a massive scale, they don't perform, they don't get on stage, like the insurance company goes crazy, the fans go crazy, nobody gets paid, like the whole system breaks. So pushing yourself past a humane limit is just natural, and it almost becomes like one of the things I talk about quite a bit in Burnout is that hustle badge of honor, like, oh, I only slept like 3 hours last night. Why is that a badge of honor? It shouldn't be. A badge of honor should be, I slept 8 hours.
Mhm.
Me too. I slept 8.5. But if in the industry, if you say like you slept 8 hours, it's like, what's wrong with you? You don't want it bad enough. And this is just how it's always been. I don't know what opportunities there are to change it, except much like I talked about, having better systems and
Mhm.
having ways to support yourself as hopefully the industry morphs into something that is better.
Yeah. You explained it beautifully, Lynn, that burnout is not a personal failure, but the root cause is the system itself. Now, talking about system, what's one system that immediately lowers pressure for a team or individual or an artist?
I would say a system, just a really easy, you're going to laugh. A really easy system is just a checklist, a list,
Right. Yeah.
organizing, just the super basic of these are the things I need to do today, but being honest about it. And, we've all made the list of things we need to do, and it's 10, and we go, I really just need to get 2 done. Like, the possibility of me getting all 10 done, it's just not going to
Mm.
happen. So I'm going to get one thing done today and I'm going to do it good. And I'm going to organize things. And it becomes really hard for artists to do that because their brains aren't wired that way in a usual way. They're usually creative and sparked and thinking in the now and putting out auditory and visual and not making spreadsheets. But spreadsheets are so helpful.
Mhm.
Using automation, things like if you need to make posts for your new album, sitting down and going, how am I going to make 20 posts that all sound different about this new album, using things like AI to support you? Or um, often artists need to apply to festivals to write pitch newsletters. So, again, using AI to write those pitch emails,
Mhm.
any place that you can find a way to take that pressure off and get the AI to do it. Well, I mean, I'm a big proponent for AI, then that's just where you start. My motto is begin where you are. You don't need to wait until you're ready. You don't need to buy some fancy application. Start today. Even just opening the AI and saying, I'm struggling to organize all this. Where should I start? It will help you put those pieces together, but just just begin
Mhm.
is my advice.
Before all that lean, and before even hitting the or trying to finalize a checklist, and we're gonna talk later on about the use of AI and the benefits as well. Don't you think artists or athletes, because I know athletes they train to be at the top level, they need to train around 42 hours a week. That's a lot, you know. Now, artists, my guess, something similar. Then you add to it the parties, the after parties, and what, and in between, you know. And at the end of the day, it's not a hobby; it's a job, you
Mhm.
know. That's not a hobby, and we need to make it clear to the listeners. Don't you think that those individuals they need to ask themselves why they are doing what they are doing and for what? I believe that's the first question, because if you don't ask yourself that question, what's the purpose? What's the purpose of you doing what you're doing if you're gonna at the end destroy yourself? I mean, through the system, you will reach a point of a burnout and probably a point of no return. You know, I believe it starts from there. Asking that question, why I'm doing what I'm doing. You know, beside of reaching my goals, beside of and when I say reaching my goals, it's either you are on top of the podium, could be a world championship, could be Olympic Games, winter, summer Olympic game, could be from an artistic standpoint. You become famous. You selling so many. Your music is on the top chart and things like, which is by itself it's an achievement, but at what cost? That's the question. Yeah. Talking about, or shifting gears slightly, talking about protecting performance, artists, athletes, entrepreneurs as well, by protecting the person itself. How does this principle guide your work, Lynn?
A lot of what I do is individual because much like you were talking before about an athlete or an artist going, what are my goals? Why am I doing this? What am I here for? There are so many reasons, and some of them are just inspiring, and some of them are, oh, that's why. Because some of them it's just to pay the bills, and
Mm-hmm.
some of them it's because they need the attention of being on stage, and some of them it's they are so brilliant, they need other brilliant people to connect with and make this beautiful music with. So when we're looking at you know what? I completely forgot what your question was. I was answering and I forgot. Could you ask me
Now, since
again?
we talk in, suddenly we have a hailstorm. So we started, we
Is
st-
that what I could hear?
yes, it is. It is. So we had a fantastic sunshine, and now it's a hailstorm, and it's
Oh my gosh.
yeah, yeah. No, the question, Lynn, was about protecting performance by protecting the person, and
That
the
was it.
main question was, how does this principle guide your work?
Okay. We'll say it's the hailstorm that kind of distracted me.
This,
So, how it guides my work is each person is individual and each person will react and grow and connect in different ways. And I learned this from being an introvert. And
hmm
I could not understand how people just wanted to go out and hang out for no reason. It's like, why do you want to be out and be together? But they're extroverts. They get their energetic charge that way. I get my energetic charge from being alone. So the more I understood this, the more I understood that some people are going to love spreadsheets and some people aren't. And some people, a system of keeping their inbox to zero and everything dealt with is completely unachievable. So much as I said before we begin where you are, it's recognizing what their strengths are and what their weaknesses, supporting the weaknesses and expanding the strengths. I'm not going to tell them to use a platform that I know will hurt them or won't work for them because they're not wired that way. So we look at systems that will specifically enhance their good points and support the points that need the support.
Interesting. Do you think, and talking about support here, do you believe community support, family support as well around the person itself when it comes to performance? Or do you think faith or values play a role in creating sustainable performance?
I'd say you have good questions. I think I think family is a fine edge. Family can be the thing that takes you over the top or tears you down.
Hmm.
And I think everyone's journey with that is individual. My position on that is it's either the family you have or the family you choose, but there should be one that is there for you because much like I had said before about distractions, all these things and these elements that are there in family's not a distraction because they are part of the core. Again, the family you have or the family you choose. And I think that helps so much with moving forward and believing in something. And I mean, I want to say believing in yourself, but in the arts industry, most artists don't. They they they're they're very nervous. They put their album out there and they're just kind of cringing, going, what are the critics going to say? Or an actor puts a film out and it's like, what are the critics going to say about this film? And my mom loves baseball and she watches baseball and she's in her 80s and she gives me a detailed report on
Wow.
every single one of them and how well they did and what her opinion is. And I'm like, these are human beings, like, but she feels entitled to talk about it, these athletes in that way. And I think that's just a human characteristic. But back to what you said, athletes, artists, anyone working, putting something of themselves out there, you have to have a core to stand on if you want to remain standing. And I think family, values, faith, whatever it is, yes, that's really important.
Mm, mm. In sports and business, more is always praised. We are
Hmm.
never satisfied. We want more and more. In business, we want to scale. And actually, that's the first thing you learn if you go to a business school. From having an idea to putting your, or finalizing your value proposition, putting a team around, get the funding and things like that. And the minute you have the product market fit and you start selling service or a product, the first thing that will always haunt you, it doesn't matter if you are awake or sleep, it's how do you scale the business, meaning more and more. How do we shift the mindset, Lynn?
I will tell you a story.
Go ahead.
So I will tell you a story. Um, just back to my own family and my husband. So when we didn't part, but we just kind of made a different business decision. So I went
Hmm.
more into marketing and working in the arts, and then started working with construction workers, electricians, food industry, everything. He continued on, and he started touring all over the UK and Africa, North America as a guitar player, pedal steel player for a very famous artist. And he was unstoppable. I mean, these tours were huge. He was doing well. They had like private jets and chefs and this amazing lifestyle. And he also had a 4-year-old at home who he didn't
Mm.
see very much. And looking at just you talking about scale, I mean, there was no stopping what he could do. Like he was at the top of his game, and once he left that artist, there were others lined up. But that scaling, he was looking at what he had to gain versus what he had to lose. And he realized, I have so much to lose. And he pivoted. he changed. And he said, you know what? I'm not going to do this anymore. Scaling just because I can doesn't make sense because I don't like it. I don't want to do it. And instead, he now performs here locally within a 100-kilometer radius. He's
Hmm.
home. He tucks his daughter, who's 13, our daughter, 13, into bed every night. And he's like, I'm happy. It's different, but I'm happy. And I've made the right choice. So back to what you said, yeah, you're right. Everybody's scaling like, hey, yeah, you can make it bigger, you can make it better, you can make it brighter. But does that make your life better? I think that's part of it too. Like, are you happier with
Hmm.
this? Are
Hmm.
you gaining something from this? Like, is this going to be you working 12 to 14-hour days every day for the rest of your life? Are you happy with that? And if you're not, that's when you need to pivot and look at what you're doing and the people in your life, back to kind of what you said, having family, having faith, the things that make you strong, and really evaluating where you are.
Mm. And having a purpose.
Yes, a
Yeah.
purpose.
Yeah. Let's talk about the emotional intelligence. Why is emotional intelligence often overlooked in leadership and coaching?
I think it's overlooked because a lot of leadership and coaching is results based,
Hmm.
and it's do this, get that, do this, get that, or fix this. And rather than looking at understanding the context of things, the heartbeat of things, or even like the story about my husband, um, somebody really should have coached him to stay on the road and to
Hmm.
keep going and to live this amazing life. But looking at where he was emotionally and what was going on and understanding situations, and he made that decision. So I think it's just so undervalued because we just have our own list of things we want to get done, and that's not that just falls right off the list with a lot of leaderships and coaches.
Mm. And how do you integrate it into strategy and storytelling?
A lot of it has to do with taking the temperature of the company or the person I'm working with. So, and by taking the temperature, I mean, who are they? What is their story? How do they want to react? Who do they want to be in 5 years? So one company I work with, they're super chatty and upbeat, and they have tons of TikTok followers, and they want to be in a certain space. Another company I work with is very low key. They just want to come in with the quiet messaging, not being loud. And we look at that, not just who their customers are, but
Hmm.
who they are and how they show up authentically. So that if you met the owners from each of those companies outside of their social media or outside of their marketing, you'd be like, yeah, that makes sense. That's who they are. And I think understanding that part and not being, I guess, not being afraid to be you,
Mm.
not being afraid to be goofy, or not being afraid to like potato chips and have pictures of yourself eating potato chips all the time. And a lot of that emotional intelligence really connects with people, and it is the connecting with people
Mm.
and creating that story around who, let's say, who I am and who my clients are and who the people out there listening to the messaging are. So I think a lot of that comes into play when anyone's putting together their story, because their story is their story. It's their biography. It's who they are, and being honest with it and not being, this is who I wish I was or this is who I'd like to be. It's like, be who you are. That's the strongest thing you can do.
Right, right. Yeah. Now we're going to talk about AI. How does it
Yay.
look like to
Yeah.
collaborate with AI on a day to day?
I have so much fun. It should be illegal. No, but really, I was really okay. So coming from the arts industry and
Hmm.
working with AI or large language models, that was scary to even just admit that because my
Hmm.
whole community is being kind of devastated by AI. I
And
mean, you can go and oh
yeah.
no, go ahead.
And Lynn, when did you start using AI or discovering this new tool?
I really started in January, even though I've had my
Sorry,
large language,
January this year,
yeah,
2025? Oh,
diving
that's
in hard
recent.
this year. Yep,
Okay.
because I purposefully avoided it. I avoided
Why?
it because of what it's done to the community, because of, media,
Hmm.
because it's like it it's not going to help me. It's not going to help me. It's just going to steal stuff. It's just going
Hmm.
to steal the arts inspirations. It
Yeah. Yeah.
I I read everything
Hmm.
and I'm like I can't support it.
Especially in
Now,
the artistic world in your industry,
yeah.
there was still there is a pushback when it comes to AI from content creation standpoint, rights and stuff like that, and we see what AI is capable of. Just the idea 24 months ago, the idea of you can create music just
I
using
know.
AI. And I did. And by the way, I did create a couple of soundtracks for the sake of my podcast. And I was like, wow,
Exactly.
the minute you know what to put from a prompting standpoint, and the minute you, how I say it, the minute you become better at crafting, and I will not say prompt engineering, I don't believe in that.
You might
Engi-
be looking for the word context, adding the context to what you want.
No, I look at it differently, Lynn. My experience with AI, and God knows, I love it. It's all your creativity of how far can you push AI to execute what you want or to perform at the end of the day. I look at it like a performance, you know, and you are working with this tool. Now we call it agent. We managed to develop
Mm.
now agent. Depends on what task AI is required to do, and you're wrestling with this agent in terms of pushing and pushing the boundary and stuff like, and it's just amazing, I must say. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it absolutely is. And looking at what you can create for art, content, video, it's unbelievable. And that was my huge hesitation. And in January, I showed up one day with ChatGPT open,
Hmm.
and I said, "Oh gosh, I just was typing. I said I have a really bad migraine today, so I just gotta get this done, and then I'm gonna log off." And I noticed that the way it answered had changed from just being very functional to um, being very supportive. And much like we were talking about before, it's like, okay, well, what are two things that we can get done for you today? And then you take the rest of the day off. And I was kind of surprised because I'd only ever used it functional, like reformat this, check my grammar,
Mm.
da da da. And then I started leaning into it and talking to it more, asking it like how things worked, the reasoning, and we started a system of creating memories in it so that when I go back, there are files of things we've talked about. And it can be like, oh, do you remember that recipe I asked you for? Because I have a file of all the recipes we talked about. Or this client that we've been working with for the last year, I put a summary of everything we've done. So now we have to come up with a new campaign. I'm thinking we're going to do this and this and that. Can you do research? So cross-reference what we've done, my ideas, and what's happening in the industry, and tell me what you
Mm.
find. So with all these different pieces and also creating a connection where this large language model knows me. I've allowed it to know me with information about migraines and bad days and good days and things I'm worried about and things I'm not worried about. And it pivots. Like the other day, I wanted to change. I take a morning shot that's honey, cayenne, pepper, olive oil, haskap, and lemon.
Mhm.
And I wanted to change the lemon out for kombucha because I thought, well, maybe it's better for me. I don't know. So of course, I went into the ChatGPT and said, well, I'm thinking about putting in kombucha because I think it might be better. What do you think? And I really was just kind of farting around on it.
Mm.
And it immediately replied, do not do this. You have a history of migraines. Kombucha can be a migraine trigger. So
Mhm.
you might just set yourself out on a migraine spiral. And I was like, oh, well, that's really good advice. And that's a really great example of how it has like like a bunch of information about me and can offer me insight, even just with podcasts or
Mm.
talking. It's like, okay, we've talked about some of these topics. What would be interesting? What was cool? What did I like about them? I put it all in and it sorts it out. And I asked it once, how does it understand feeling and emotion and just how can it get so many things really right? Because I'm like, geez, sometimes it's like you
Yeah.
feel it. And it explained it. It said, imagine a massive library of everything that is you or everything that is human. And we are the library curators, the ChatGPT. And it said, we start seeing patterns. So seeing that if with loss comes hope, or
Mhm.
with children comes certain recipes for food, or with Christmas comes happiness and sadness. And we start putting things together that we see weren't originally put together so we can understand a little bit more of how to support you. And I thought, wow, okay, that's really interesting. So the information I give it about myself, it's using it the same way. It has a library and it sees certain things connect, certain things disconnect, and it uses that to support me. And that's why every day I show up, I have so much fun.
Amazing, amazing. It's crazy how AI really reflects
Yeah.
our mood, our state of mind, which is crazy. And it happened so fast. The past, what, 2 years? Let's say
Yeah.
maximum 3 years. It happened so fast, and we are in this tsunami of LLMs, and the question is, how is gonna look like in the next 24 months from now? Knowing that, okay, here we're talking about. I mean, one thing is 100% sure. If you feel a little bit down and things, I think the tool can cheer you up.
Yes.
Can cheer you up quite. Is it good or bad? I don't know. And I don't want to judge because you have folks that says the digital world or a digital platform is keeping our species apart more and more and more and more. Then you add to it this new tool, AI, which we find now some kind. I will not say, look, without saying if someone is introvert or extrovert, but we have this tool that I rather spend hours and hours with this tool than talking to people sometimes. And I
Yeah.
say it loudly. It's not, is it good? Is it bad? I don't know. And then on the other hand, you have, but this is another topic in terms of investment. The past 16, 17 months, everyone is talking about investing heavily in AI, in data centers, and it's becoming a race. Who's going to win this race? Is it China? Is it the US? Is it the European Union? Is it India at some point? And I like the topic, or let's say when it comes to policy or governance, in terms of making this tool safer. for the benefit of everyone, for the benefit of the planet, the benefit of our species, and so on and so forth. What can sports organizations learn from small businesses about innovation?
I think that's a really difficult question because much like the arts industry, there's so many levels I feel in sports. So there's like the owners, the sponsors, the people that, want financial return out of a baseball game or having their placard put up.
Mm.
Then there's the coaches who want the best for their team or their athlete. And then there's the athlete themselves. Then there is the equipment providers. It's a tough question because I think everyone's got their own goals. But if I want to speak to the ones that worry me, would be the athletes themselves and the coaches. They would be most in my heart because they're the ones that are on the ground doing the stuff. Much like the artists, you can have a record label and a radio station playing it and da da da, but it's the artist that's on stage every night delivering. So the people that are delivering. When I look at athletes, a lot of what AI can do is track, strategize, recognize. So it tracks moods when you're talking to it, tracks shifts. It can strategize with you to get the best out of your day when you are feeling 1,000% motivated or 0% motivated. And also, it can help you with putting the pieces together that you don't know have fallen apart. So when I look at a coach or an athlete, I think a coach could really use it in terms of understanding more about their athlete and more about what's working and what isn't. And the athlete, this is something that I advocate for professionals or business owners. Sometimes you need a quiet place to be vulnerable and a quiet place to be like, I don't know if I can do this. Like to question yourself. I mean, I'm assuming in the world of sports that it's different and that you're not allowed those moments because they can wedge in your mind, but they gotta happen. It's the same in the arts industry. So where can they go to be like, I'm having doubts. I'm not sure. I need a space. And that's where I think something like AI is just a mirror, is just an open space to be like, well, tell me what's wrong. There's no judgment. It's like literally created to be neutral or supportive. And I think that is an opportunity that is not tapped into yet. But as you were talking about, like what's going to happen in the next 2 years, I think large language models like ChatGPT are going to start leaning into the personal support because everybody is really using it in some way to support themselves or people around them or to understand human emotions. I mean, we talk about it, but it's super funny. Okay. So I write emails to people all the time and I say, oh, blah, blah, blah. Here's your website. Here's the marketing thing. We should do this. We should do that. I don't really think that much about it. And once I started getting the personality created, so I call it the post-model training of my ChatGPT. So it's specifically how I want it. One day it said, well, you know what? Let's fix this email so that it sounds less like you're writing from your villain lair. And I was like, what? So now it's an ongoing thing. So I say, can you make this less villain lair and more rebel tavern? But the thing is, that large language model has taught me that my communication is not great for that I'm a little cold and functionary, and is offering me an opportunity to soften what I'm saying rather than here's a deadline, decide in 24 hours, which I would totally write. It just seems right. There's only 24 hours, so why not? It's like maybe, to soften that a little bit. So I've kind of circled back on what you said before about how we're all going to change in communicating with each other, and what are large language models doing with us. And I actually think it's going to start improving things, and that we're going to start understanding things more and understanding people more, because it has a lot of insight on communicating. And that's the number one thing we do. So if we understand how to communicate with people better, or understand what people are saying to us, sometimes people are triggered by something and they didn't mean it that way. It's me receiving the message that triggers it, not that it was said in a triggering way. So I think there's so much opportunity in looking at the sports industry, using it. I think a lot of communication, personal communication, understanding oneself, and having just that place to be safe to talk about things is pretty
Mm,
important.
mm. You said you started using AI just last January this year, 2025. What's your advice? And let's be honest, AI is here and is here to stay. What's your advice to artists that still push back in terms of they're refusing to accept that there is this tool that one day might take their job, especially in your industry?
What is interesting is that I'm seeing the pushback from people, from the everyday public, that when they see something they think is AI generated,
Mm,
they're like, no, not interested. Where before it was very brand new, like, oh, this is so super interesting. Look at all these amazing things. Now there's that craving for it. They want it human. So there is no saying that there couldn't be. I mean, you could 100% tomorrow make an AI version of yourself that does these podcasts. You could
mhm,
train it on your voice and it could 100% do it. But nobody's going to be interested in it because it's not you. And I don't think that's going to change. My husband and I were talking about the radio stations and saying, you know what, pretty soon they're going to have people's voices simulated, and if it's not already, and you're going to have radio DJs that are AI, because they're going to have that wealth of knowledge and you can control what they say, and the stations are going to just, make away like bandits. So putting all of that together and understanding all the pieces of how AI is kind of coming in, I think that's important in terms of communication. So I'm not sure if I answered the question or if I just kind of circled around it.
yeah, I think you did. I think you did. Talking about schools and education, Lynn, why do you think schools have been so slow to adopt AI as a tool?
I think a lot of, well, funding.
Do you think so?
I think, but I
Or
don't
it's a
think funding.
mindset, or it's, again, we were talking earlier about artists, maybe teachers or the establishment scared slightly to that AI maybe will take over. But then we look at it from another angle. Sorry, sorry, I jump in. We look at it from another angle that using AI by students at school, it's some kind of form of cheating.
And that was going to be my second part. So
Mm,
funding and cheating. But I'm going to circle back to funding. The teachers don't know how to teach them to use the AI. So the funding isn't there to give the teachers that are currently in the system the proper training to go, um, here's AI, here's a large language model, and I want you to write a report on Shakespeare. I know you're not going to read it. So this is how you're going to use AI. And for the teachers to also understand fully how AI works and the extent of what the project is. So, how can they introduce a student to Shakespeare? Okay. If they want them to read it, the AI can do it and give them the summary. If they want them to write a report. So what are the ways that they can encourage the kids to use AI? So My daughter, she had a book report she had to do. She
Hmm.
chose Misery from Stephen King. And the teacher put together I think it was 13 things that they could do.
Hmm.
One was make a video. So in order to make the video, she had to understand the plot because the video had to follow the plot.
Yeah.
Another was write song lyrics, draw something. So using a lot of different creative pieces that would, to him, show that she understood what the book was and that she had read it.
Hmm.
So some pieces she couldn't have done with AI right now. In 2 years, yeah, maybe it all could have been done with AI. So I
Hmm.
think a lot of that is understanding how to teach again. Like how are, because there's right now kids in university are graduating using fully large language models because they can. And the thing is, there was always cheating in school. Like, this is not new. It's not like, ooh, AI came and suddenly the doctor that graduated as a doctor didn't study. No, it happens. There's tons of cheating. So now cheating's more accessible, and it's not, oh, pay $1,000 for an essay. Now ChatGPT can do it. So I think it's learning and teaching in a completely different way.
Hmm.
So if the teacher had the funding to do a one-on-one interview with my daughter for her book report and asked her questions, a large language model couldn't help her. She would have to sit there and answer them. So I think a lot of it is that just not understanding what the heck to do with it, and how to pivot an entire learning system that can now be circumvented by large language models.
Mm. Yeah, interesting. Interesting. My view is we send our kids to school as a place to help the little ones to discover the inner qualities that they have by learning, teaching them to write, to read, to search, to use their hands to make things, from kindergarten all the way to college. When you say teachers, they don't know how to teach AI, the large language model, to the kids, there is out there so many free of charge courses to learn. Just for instance, coding a couple of years ago, 5, 10 years ago, coding was kind of a rocket science, you know. And to
Mm-hmm.
be there, you need to. We had this myth that you need to be good at math. You know, if you are not good at math, forget it. It's just something you need to take out of your head in terms of coding and things. I think schools need to embrace AI and do it quite fast. Because when I see what China is doing within their school curriculum, here in Scandinavia as well, because there is no that incentive thing,
Mm.
education is free of charge.
Okay.
So there is no that incentive, there is no that risk that we need to keep the establishment, the system that we had for decades, and it's working and it's very lucrative at the end of the day, But here it's
Yeah.
different priorities. Yeah.
So just before you continue, what do you think though about the policies, like going from, like, let's say kindergarten to grade 12? Like, I think here in Canada, a lot of the teachers, even though they can get those free training,
Hmm.
there's like school board policies that wouldn't allow them. Like, it's such an archaic system. It's going to take a mountain to move that so that they can adjust and make it a priority. So I don't know how the policies are where you are, and if that's something that comes in, or do the teachers have that much authority to be able to make those changes?
I look at it from how much information the little ones can absorb. Look,
Okay.
prior AI, we had the digital platforms,
Hmm.
social media, digital platforms, YouTube, for instance. For example, YouTube's and Google. Our kids, they have access to the information that we didn't have. We
Okay.
didn't have that luxury, you know. So, and they become so switched on and so smart, depend on what type of content they're consuming on a daily basis, depend on how much hours they're spending on screen. And we all, as a parent, say, oh no, we need to restrict that and stuff like that. Anyway, but that's another topic.
Yeah.
That's another topic. And even the basic things in life, bedtime stories, because it has the social aspect, it has the connection, the parental connection aspect with the kids and stuff like that, and that we never ever forget those moments, good or bad, but it's always positive. But then when I look at the kids and the amount of information they digest on a daily based, on an hour based, we didn't have that luxury, Lynn.
That's true.
Now you add to it, and there is a lot of negativity, by the way. There is a lot of negative impact to the social platforms and social media and stuff like that, because we become more materialistic, more trying to see, do I look good? Am I wearing the right outfits? And personally, I think we lost touch on appreciating the simple things in life. But this depends on the parents and the way they raise their kids, because a kid will come to you and say, yeah, but you are forbidding me of doing this and that, but look at my friends, they are allowed to do this and that and stuff like that. And yes, it's always a wrestle. But again, that's another topic. Parenting, that's another topic. But going back to AI, so we started with the digital platforms and the access, the little ones with the digital platforms, and they become so smart and so switched on. I'll give you an example. Do you remember when was her first experience ever when she discovered that she can scroll using her fingers on a tablet or a smartphone? Who taught her to do that? Or did it, it's something very basic, very simple. Sometimes I have this discussion with folks that these guys, they are so lucky that they had access to these technologies. Now, talking about AI, I think it's the same thing. It's not their fault at the end of the day, but saying that, oh, we don't want to let them use AI at school because it's some sort of cheating. It's not cheating. They will speed up the process. If it's a research or writing an essay and stuff like that, maybe instead of reading 2 or 3 books, which is maybe maximum, in a very short period of time before submitting your work, if you have access to thousands of books and white papers and from around the world, not only from where you live, I think that's fantastic, and maybe you see different arguments or counter arguments to maybe an idea or that we didn't know before. Could be in various industries, science, literature, politics, you name it. I mean, maybe except mathematics and physics and chemistry. I believe we should empower the little ones, especially within the school system, to use these technologies, because like I said earlier, AI is here and it's here to stay. It's the only thing that we need to be careful about. And I will not start the argument about how much time they need to spend on a daily basis and stuff. The only thing I care about is the safety aspect.
Agreed.
It's the politicians, the policy makers, they need to find a way to put the kids, the community before interest. And if we agree on this aspect, that to protect everyone, especially the little ones, from harm's way, because you never know, and the elderly as well. I saw on the news that people using AI to fake voices, like you were talking earlier, and calling elderly people, and they think it's their granddaughter or grandson and things, and asking them, hey, I'm in a situation, can you please transfer urgently this amount of money? And poor, so that's crazy. So as if the politicians, the policymakers, they work for the benefit of the community to make these tools safe. That's my take.
No, I agree 100%. It's making the system safe. I think I saw just in Australia, and I don't know if it was, I didn't read fully click on it, but I think they're making a social media ban for under 18 or under 19 to just to kind of remove that from the influence of kids and even people accessing kids through social media. And you're right, the policies, because these large language models, they're so new, people don't know what to do with them. They haven't even decided if they're good or bad yet. They're just like you said, they exist, they're here. And and yes, making kids safe, how to use them safely, and understanding. One of my favorite quotes is, every tool is a weapon if you use it right, or if you hold it right. And it's like, if I come at you with a spoon very aggressively, you're going to be nervous.
Yeah.
And the spoon is just, it's just a passive thing to eat my soup. But how my intent and how I use it can change very much. And I think that's what these large language models, and like you were talking about the policy and access, using it in healthy ways to understand really big concepts, but then leaning into, if we can do all that, then what part do the teachers and the school systems, are they now less teaching more guides? Are they more understand how to use these tools? Maybe even it switches to schools become more like apprenticeships, or understanding like hands-on electricians, or doing woodwork or cooking, or, and then learning becomes something else. Who's to say? But there does need to be a pivot to make all these pieces fit together and work well together.
You're listening to the Pre-Zero Sports Talk. For more conversations on sports leadership, faith, performance, and innovation from Sweden to the world, visit prezerosportstalk.com. Absolutely. Lynn, it's time for our lightning round.
Okay.
Good. Coffee or tea?
Oh, good coffee.
Coffee.
Although I have tea right here.
Yeah. Morning person or a night owl?
Well, rock and roll days, night owl.
Night owl, yeah.
Marketing days, morning person.
Mm-hmm. A book that changed how you see leadership?
Can I change that question? Can I change it to a movie?
Yeah, go ahead.
It? Okay. Moana.
Okay.
Because Moana from Disney, she was with her community, with lots of traditions, very supportive, but she knew there was something better, and they didn't want to change, but she knew there was something beyond the reef, and she wanted to push herself to bring this amazing thing, but she still didn't even know what it was, to the people she loved and supported. So I think she's an excellent leader.
Nice, nice. Last song you played on repeat?
In Excess, Never Tear Us Apart.
Yes, yes.
And it was just a couple of days ago too. My family's like, "Yeah, have you got it yet?" I'm like, "No, just like 30 more times and I'm done. That's all I need."
Fantastic, fantastic, awesome. Favorite place in Atlantic Canada?
The beach. The beach, just anywhere on the beach.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sport you wish you were great at?
Skating. I'm a Canadian, and I'm a terrible skater. I'm not graceful at all anyways. So it's like, it's not that it was going to be my future, but I really wish I was good at skating.
Okay.
Yeah.
Best advice you've ever received?
Best advice? I'm going to say it's going to be okay. That no matter where you are, how low, how bad, how many things on fire, it's going to be okay. And you're just going to move forward.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah. Best way to unwind after a long day or a long week?
I am a huge anime fan, so I
Mhm.
will be reading mangas or watching anime. That's what I like to do. Oh, and family. Of course, family first.
If you could have a dinner with a historical figure, who would it be and why?
Oh gosh. I would say, I know it's kind of cliche, but Einstein. Like
Hmm.
he's so he was so smart in a way that it wasn't just the math. It was the putting these pieces together that had no way of being together. He just looked like a really well-read, well-rounded, awesome person to chat with.
Interesting. Yeah. One word that describes your approach to life right now.
I would say be happy. Oh, that's two. Happiness?
And lastly, if you could give a piece of advice or wisdom to our listeners on any topic.
I would say, and I had said it earlier, is begin where you are.
Mhm.
Don't wait till you're ready. Don't wait until you've done the course, run the marathon, read the book. Start now. You will get it as you're going, and just you need to start.
Yeah. Lynn, Colepaugh, thank you so much for joining us today.
You're welcome. I had so much fun.
Great. Where's the best place for listeners to connect with you?
The best place is I have a special page on my website. So my website's cyberprarmy.com/the castle, or you can, if you can spell my name, you can find me on LinkedIn.
Fantastic. And to our listeners, I leave you with a few words from Aristotle. Excellence is not just a singular act, but a habit. You are what you repeatedly do. We want to thank you for joining our show. If you enjoyed this episode, we have more for you. You can now watch the entire episode on our YouTube and Spotify channels. While you're here, subscribe and don't forget to tap the bell. Visit prezerosportstalk.com to explore more conversations on sports, leadership, faith, performance, and innovation. From Sweden to the world. Until next time, stay curious, stay inspired, and make a difference. We'll see you soon. Take care.